everyone, and welcome back to the Beginners Competitors podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, our first time to our podcast. We have today with us Maia Gordon. Welcome, Maia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Let me introduce you. Let me read your short bio, but it's no means, it portrays what you have accomplished in your life. So Maia, welcome to our podcast. So Maia is not only she is an IFBB pro, but she is a two-time Olympian and a full-time nurse clinician. She has a passion for health, fitness for her life. So in the past 5 years, bodybuilding has been an outlet for her and ultimately has improved her lifestyle in so many ways. And after years of experience on stage as a young dancer, she's been able to turn her passion of posing into a bodybuilding business. Welcome, Maia. Welcome, IFBB Pro and 2 times Olympian. Maia, before we start, I did not share that with you, but I have to say this. When I started the podcast, one of I call it my prep buddy, we were chatting and we're trying to figure out like who I should have. And your name was one of the first person that came up. And I was so shy. I was like, oh no, she would never accept. So to have you today is such an honor. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So you are our first Olympian. So for those who don't know what an Olympian is, let me break it down to you. So in bodybuilding, we have competition, and the top typical, like the Olympics, the best physiques are at the Olympia, and they represent the world. So basically, Maia has one of the best physiques in the entire world. And not only she's been able to do it once, but she did it 2 times. So Maia, how does that feel to be an Olympian? Like, how does that feel?
That feels great, actually. It's a huge accomplishment. I'm proud of the work that my coach and I have been able to put in over the years that we've been working together. Of course, we didn't think it could happen, but or we pushed through.
Of course you did. You believed in yourself, Maia. Of course you did. Yeah. So Maia, tell us a little bit about your journey, because I know our path crossed, well, we'll talk about that, but before bodybuilding, you said that you were doing like dancing. You've been dancing for years?
Yeah, so growing up, my parents put me in dance, Afro-Caribbean dance in the community. Nice. And when I got to high school, there was a dance program there. Okay. So we joined the dance program. There was an elite troupe where you had to audition for, which my twin sister and I both auditioned for, and we made the team. Yeah, so we danced with that team for 5 years. Actually, it was 4. And then we went on to dance competitively in college as well. That was pop competition. That was more the genre that we focused on. But growing up, ballet, jazz, contemporary, a little bit of everything, maybe except for tap dance.
Okay. So you were saying that except for tap dance, you basically did a competitive dancing all your life. So you were like, you had a pretty, I guess, a good physique, or, prior to competing, you would say?
I would think that I had a good base to start.
Base.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. A good foundation base. And I heard out there, you said you had a twin sister as well?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Does she compete, or is she?
No, she doesn't compete at all. No.
Okay. But she must be a great supporter, right?
She really is. She is. Yeah.
Okay. So now so what made you so I guess the fact that you've been doing dancing, competing. So how did bodybuilding, how did you find bikini? How did you get into it?
Well, I actually, it's interesting that you ask. Well, of course, with social media just coming up to its early days, I had seen competitions come up on my feed, I guess based on like what my interests were at the time, which was fitness, and it still is.
Yeah.
But I just seen a lot of females on the stage in like really glittery suits, and I said, well, what is this? And then I did research, and I found out that there's bodybuilding for women, which I was pleasantly surprised, because at the time, this was what, 2016 when I'm looking into this, and at the time I had thought there was only bodybuilding for men and women, like bodybuilding division.
Yeah.
So in 2016, I was just discovering that they had created more divisions for different body types. And so that's what I was seeing. I was seeing the bikini division, a lot of competitions in the States. So that piqued my interest, because I thought, well, whatever that is, I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like it's something I can do. So I just did some more research, and I realized, okay, this is a competition prep that they're doing in order to be able to be ready for the stage. So I would need a coach. So I did some more research, and that's really how it started. Yeah.
So, okay, so you did some research. So like, how far, like, how did your first competition happen, and how was that?
Well, the thing about it is I did some research in 2016, and then I contemplated actually competing for 2 whole years before I actually consulted a coach.
Oh.
So it was 2018 when I decided I wanted to do my first show. So that's how that came about. I reached out to a local coach, and it was a really good exchange, really good energy. So I decided to give it a try, and my first show was the 7 Classic in 2018 of September.
Oh, yeah. Nice. And did you win the overall there?
I did not win the overall. I did win both of my classes, the novice and the open. For my class. And I also won the Best Poser Award, so that was exciting.
Ah, congrats. Because I'm doing the math here, because 2018, your first competition, and wait, you got, I saw the ring too. I was like, I just saw the ring because you flashed your ring. And you got married in between too? Because you flashed your ring, I just saw it.
I got married before I started bodybuilding.
Okay, before bodybuilding. Okay. So 2018, you did your first competition.
Yeah.
And then you did like, obviously you have to do the local shows, right? And then 2 years from there, how was your journey to go to be Olympia? How did you get qualified? Because I have a lot of people that I meet and say their dream, like every girl who's a bikini girl, wellness figure girl, everybody's dream at some point is to become Olympian. At what point did that started to crystallize for you?
Gosh, I would say after earning my pro card.
After the pro card.
First competition ever was in September of 2018. And then in August of 2019, so 11 months later, I earned my pro card.
Wow.
And that's not something that, when I did my first show ever, earning my pro card the year after was not my intention. Of course, it was something that I vied for. It would have been nice, but it wasn't something that I had to have. Just because I was just getting into this business, and there was so much to learn and so much growing to do. So it really wasn't my intention. It was always a goal to try, if anything. And that is of 2019. So at the time, we knew that the first pro show in Montreal was coming back just a few months later. So of course, again, at that time, it wasn't my intention to qualify for the Olympia. It was to do my first pro show ever on home soil, which because the last pro show that we had in Montreal, I think, was 40 something years ago, like really at the very beginning of bodybuilding. So that was an inaugural event that I couldn't miss. I had to do it. And it was also something exciting for me to get onto the pro stage and really just get into the circuit to see where I would land. There were 2 Olympians that we knew were coming to that show as well. So it was really just to see where I would land. And so it was really great experience.
So how far, like, so you earned your pro card. What show was that? The pro show that came to Montreal. What's the name of that one?
It was the Ben Leader Natural.
Yeah. Oh, it was in Montreal.
It was in Montreal in 2019. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And then in a year from now, okay, and then that got you qualified.
Yes.
Go
on that pro show, my first pro win. At my pro debut, which was like
that pro debut, you get. I remember that. I was watching. I was following you. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, you got qualified.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And the thing about it is, like, it's. I think it's becoming a little bit more common now. You're seeing girls doing their pro debut and they're earning their Olympia qualifications, and you know. At the time, like that wasn't happening. Like it was rare. So that was
and especially for a woman of color. Hello.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? So at the time that I qualified for the Olympia would be in 2020, and then I prepared for the show, which was supposed to be in September of 2020. Because of the pandemic, which that year a lot of shows were delayed, a lot of shows were canceled, but they made the Olympia happen for us. They pushed it to December, and that was in Florida. Yeah.
So you prepped for your first Olympia during the pandemic? How crazy was that?
It was.
Have to do?
It was a challenge. I didn't think I was going to make it to the Olympia because of the border restrictions, and it was a little stressful actually. At the beginning, not so much because the pandemic had just happened, and I knew that I was going to have at least 9 months ahead of me, so I wasn't terribly concerned at the beginning of the year, but I have to say personally, like halfway throughout 2020, I was getting nervous. Because they were putting travel restrictions, and at the time they were talking about vaccination passports and things. So it was stressful.
I can imagine. Maya, I have a question for you, because your progression from, amateur to pro to Olympia was quite like fast track. So I'm wondering for you in terms of how fast track as your mind growth or mindset had to grow in terms of how you approach your prep, like what mind shift you had to make in terms of your prep for each of the different levels you had to reach?
That's a good question. To answer in short, at the end of the day, in my opinion, at every level that you're at, every prep is different. But at every level that you're at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, and it's something that I often did, especially during that year, was how bad do you want this? And what is it that you're willing to do to make it happen? That was something that I questioned myself often, because at that time the gyms closed as well. So now how am I supposed to be competitive at the Olympia, which is like the highest level, the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world, using resistance bands and like an at-home gym that I've set up with just resistance? Like how is that going to work? So of course there was doubt that set in. Of course there was fear that set in. But when you realize your goals are bigger than yourself, you realize, one, making excuses is not going to help me reach my goal. So I had to find a way to make it happen, one. And two, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one affected by the pandemic. I wasn't the only one, disappointed by the gyms being closed and being closed for months on end. We all had to make it work. So I didn't have that excuse to, turn myself into a victim and, feel sorry for myself. Like the whole world was going through it at the same time as me. So, and it was actually motivating on the other end of it to see, man, like we really have to make this work. And, other people were doing home workouts and putting their routines out on socials, encouraging other people who naturally weren't going to the gym before the pandemic. Hey, you can do this at home too. So that also helped with my mindset shift as well, knowing that I didn't do it by myself. Yeah.
So basically for you, the pandemic was kind of like a time for you to regroup and to even power you through, give you more strength to do it. So you reach Olympia. All right. So you're on stage with all these Olympians. Like, tell us some stories, Maia.
Well, I'll tell you, backstage, it's intimidating but exciting all at the same time, because you're seeing your idols in the same room and you know that you're paired next to them. So it's all really surreal. It's very surreal. But it's also a moment for you to realize that you made it. You're an equal. Mm-hmm. This is an opportunity to really shine and show your best potential to judges. Everyone is nice. Of course, there are some athletes who are very focused on their routine and focused on, making sure that the energy that they're trying to portray to the judges is consistent. So they're just in their own headspace. So you really can't take that personally. There's some people who are very focused on making sure that, everything is covered. And there are some who are just a little bit more relaxed and more willing to embark on conversations with strangers and fellow competitors. So it's surreal. I think if I can describe it in one word, it was surreal.
Were you nervous?
Got to speak to Janet Leung.
And she's a nurse like you as well.
Yes. We were backstage just waiting. She said she was really hungry and like she could really use a rice cake right now. And I was like, I have a rice cake. Do you want it? She's like, thanks, you're so sweet. And then she ate her rice cake and she was talking to Jennifer Dory. And they were just having this like normal conversation. And I'm just like watching. This is so cool. Trying to not fangirl, but it was cool to see them in their element and just be like natural and calm and really cordial. Like it was nice to see. I have to say, especially as a Canadian, where you don't really get to compete as often as the other girls in the US.
Right.
It is nice to catch those glimpses of like athletes actually like talking to each other with respect, and like they actually enjoy each other's company. Because when you're on social media, there's so many things, and then there's so many things you don't see. So there's don't see that you are left to the imagination, and there's rumors and things like that go on within the community. But then when you're backstage and you're seeing this live, it's like, no, like there's actual love here. Like there's positive energy here. Like it's endearing. It's nice to see, because again, what you don't know, you don't know. So when you see like positivity and like women actually supporting women, it's a breath of fresh air.
You ladies are definitely inspiring to us, and I'm just like curious. I'm like, were you nervous, Maia? Like, how did you manage your nerves like and at the Olympian stage?
Honestly, I just needed to I stuck to myself a lot for the first Olympia. And that was because, well, I'm a naturally shy person. So I'm not gonna naturally go up to someone like, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. Like, can I shake your hand? Like, I'm not. Like, if we're in close vicinity and we'll lock eyes, I'll probably be something like this and leave it at that. So being around my peers, my idols, that alone was nerve-wracking. So I really just had to focus on myself and just remember what kind of energy it is that I wanted to show the judges. Just remember the steps of my routine. And really just stay true to myself. That's really how I stayed focused and tried to stay calm. Just remember that I made it.
You made it. You're the top tier in the world. Okay, Maia. So your first time, like, it went smooth, right? Now that I'm the Olympian quality, right? Now your strategy might have changed now. Did you get some feedback? How did you go back to the drawing board? Like, what was your goal after that? How did you make the second Olympia happen?
Well, so the feedback that I got after the first Olympia was that I came in too muscular.
Okay. Too muscular?
Yeah.
Like overall or specifically, Maia? Overall or specifically?
They said overall I came in too muscular. Basically looking for a softer look.
Yes.
So I basically had to come down on, I guess, on the intensity of my training, because I was able to put on muscle quite easily, I guess.
During the
it took, I would say, like, from when I qualified for the Olympia the first time to showing up to the first Olympia, I would say I had the same amount of muscle. And the feedback that I got from the first, qualifying to the Olympia was to keep the same amount of muscle. So I felt like we came in the same, but again, it was too much. So, I took the year. So 2021, I competed in one show. But to be honest with you, my mindset just wasn't there that year. There were a lot of things going on outside of bodybuilding, like in my personal life, that kind of interfered with my training regimen, my nutrition plan. I wasn't responding well. So, and again, in that year, I still tried. And in hindsight, I probably should have just not done that show and taken the full year off to really just handle the things that I needed to.
But how do you know that? Like, you said hindsight, but like, how do you know, like, when it's time to, like, you should take some time off? It's not a good time. Like, what have you learned? Like, now that you know that, what would you like moving forward?
Well, that's exactly what I did. So after that show, I basically took some time to really figure out what it is that I wanted. My competitive career, like, what do I want to do next? And I had decided that I wanted to qualify for the Olympia at least one other time in my life. I couldn't let it go. 2021, I think I really was just on the fence of, like, should I compete? Should I not? Honestly, I think mindset-wise, I was hit a little bit on the negative side. Like, coming back from the Olympia, I think that I had like high expectations for myself that I didn't realize only after I came back. And I would say that I definitely beat myself up quite a bit, which it's not okay, but I'm on the other side of that now, and I think we all time to time. But 2021 was really rough for me coming back for my first Olympia. And I think I was just really hard on myself that year. So I really needed to I should have taken the year off and really evaluate what it is that I wanted. Because when 2022 came around, I was sure. I was certain. I knew what I wanted, and I knew what shows I wanted to do. So also, it's really important to take a step back, because when you take a step back, you can clear your mind and come back certain about what it is that you want, and that's exactly what happened. So, of course, it's not what I wanted to happen, but I'm glad that it happened.
Sometimes setback is just, I heard that setback is like a setup for your like comeback. You need
Comeback.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened. So at the beginning of 2022, I decided I was going to compete, most likely at the end of the year, because I had Battle of the Bodies picked out. And I was thinking about doing let's do this. I wasn't scared. I was excited. It had been over a year since I'd competed, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So we did Battle of the Bodies. Oh God, when was that? September. Battle of the Bodies was Janet Leig's show in September. Placed 4th, which was amazing. Our goal was to place top 5, and we did it. So then we were natural, but I wasn't sure. So those were my 2 shows that I picked out early in the year. So let's say from February on, I was on it. I was training, doing my check-ins with my coach. And as the show approached, we realized like, okay, like we're looking like we're ready to go. So of course you need to consider, as a Canadian, when you're flying out, there's a lot of things to consider. You're flying out, so you have to pay for your flight, you have to pay for your hotel, you have to pay for your hair, your makeup, your suit. There's a lot of financial commitment. You need to prepare for that well in advance. So that was something that I was very specific about this time around. Because in the previous years, I was like, oh, like we'll just make it work. But now this time around, I realized you really need to plan, especially as a pro. Okay. It's important to plan your shows in advance and be prepared financially to commit to that. Because again, the judges, they want to see your face. They want to be familiar with who you are, what you look like, what your energy is like on stage. And also see your commitment to the league as well. So you need to be prepared financially to compete. So I felt so prepared at the beginning of the year. So as the show approached, I was like, that was exciting. Really, really.
Then you did another show, because I remember like I was watching, I was like, oh my God. And then you did another show and you won first place, and then you got qualified, right? Not by points, but by winning your show, right?
Yes, that was the Ben Leader Natural.
Oh, okay, yeah, exactly. So you did 2 shows.
I did 2 shows, and it was really a full circle moment to win that show, because I won the inaugural event 2 years before. Come back 2 years later and take the title, like that was really, really just, honestly, like that was probably one of my proudest moments. Not just because I applied for the Olympia, but just, you know, coming from 6th place the year before to placing 4th just the month before to winning the show was just reassuring that, you know, when you just stay true to who you are, remember why you're following through with your goals, and you're really taking into mind the feedback that you're getting from your previous show and being able to accomplish the goal, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Awesome. Maia, I'm enjoying our conversation so much. And you know, there's so many things like I've learned from just having this conversation. And you know, this is real life. I'm noticing that my iPad is about to die soon. But I want to ask you this question. Okay. Oh no, no, it's not dying soon. So question, Maia. Like anyone out here who would like to be where you are right now, to have a similar journey as you, to be Olympian, what is the advice you would tell them? What's the best advice? Okay, now, what's the best advice you've received, and what's your best advice you would give them based on your experience?
Okay, so the best advice that I've received is really to stay true to your goals, not what other people's goals are. Like, not a family member, not a sister, not your coach. Stay true to what it is that you want to do. If you want to do bikini, do bikini. If you want to go into wellness, go into wellness. And again, remember that you're hiring your coach to help you with your goals. So of course, your coach is the professional and will help guide you to take the best route to achieve your goal, but your goal is yours alone. So just remember that. Don't let anybody convince you to go in another direction if it's really what you want to do. That's
I love that. Oh my gosh, I heard that and I received that so much, Maia. And what's your best advice, like, for someone who wants to, maybe not reach Olympia, but to progress, or for the people who would like to be Olympia? What is the best advice you have from your experience? What has helped you?
The best advice that I have is to get out of your own way. And I'm speaking from personal experience, okay? You have a goal and you know that you have potential, okay? We all have good days and bad days. So even on your worst day, you still want to give 1% better than the day before. Your ability to achieve your goals depend on you and you only. So the days that you don't feel like going to train, the days that you don't feel like following your macros or your meal plan, whatever plan you have, okay? Remember that every time you don't follow that, okay, you're stepping further and further away from your goals. And remember that your decision to follow through or not follow through is on you. It's not on your coach. It's not on your partner. It's not on anyone else but you. So you have to decide, how bad do you want this? And when you decide that you want it really badly first, half the battle is already achieved because you decided, okay? The other half is taking the steps every day, every hour of the day, to make sure that you achieve that goal.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing this, Maia. And just to circle back from the beginning on how our path crossed, I want to highlight that because you mentioned about your posing business, and I'm very excited, and I'm so honored that we actually are working together. You're my posing coach. I'm working towards a wellness, which is new for me, and what you said, like, resonated a lot with me in terms of following what was my true intention and goal, and following what you will have in your heart and not what people say to you. So I'm excited working with you as a posing coach. So tell us a little bit more about it and where can we find more information?
So I'm a posing coach. So basically I help prepare female athletes and bodybuilders in particular in the bikini and wellness division prepare for the stage. So I basically teach them the foundations of what it is that the judges are looking for in terms of the general presentation. I help them prepare their walk. I help them prepare their routine, the front pose, back pose, transitions. We go over the comparison section of the competition. And I also help my girls talk about mindset. and how to prepare for being backstage amongst other competitors, how to prepare mentally in that type of environment where the energy is rising high. So I like to discuss all of those things with my clients and help them prepare for the stage. So it's my passion.
Yes.
I love to do it. It's my goal to be the best posing coach in all of Canada. And I'm well on my way. So
yes, you are.
anyone is looking for posing coaching, I'm available. I offer sessions online, and I'm also based in Montreal. So if anyone in Montreal is looking for one-to-one, face-to-face posing sessions, do reach out to me at Posing Beyond Borders on Instagram. You can also follow me on Maia Gordon _IFBB Pro to follow my journey and my posing business.
Awesome. And you're an awesome posing coach. And like, it's been a pleasure working, well, you helping me. And I'm like, I can't believe I have an Olympian who's helping me pose. So this is like amazing. So thank you so much, Mike. I know you're so busy. I know you have a busy life. So I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And I've learned so much. And so thank you for being you, basically, Maia.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you, Florence.
Merci. Au revoir.